Okay, has this ever happened to you? You slam the throttle on your RC car, ready to blast off, and it just goes backward.
Oh, yeah. Super frustrating, isn't it? One of those classic RC head scratchers.
Totally. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. Figuring out why your RC car's throttle is reversed, and more importantly, how to fix it.
We've sifted through a bunch of troubleshooting guides, looked at how these RC systems actually, talk to each other.
Exactly. And our mission really is to give you that step-by-step understanding, how to diagnose it, how to solve it, without getting lost in super technical manuals. Might even find a few surprises.
And it's surprising how often the simplest fix works. But it's good to know why it works.
Right. So the number one suspect usually is your transmitter, specifically the throttle reverse function.
Ah, the little switch or menu option.
Yeah, channel reversing. It basically just electronically flips the signal the transmitter sends for that channel, usually channel 2 for throttle.
Sometimes channel 3 on Futaba systems, just to keep things interesting.
Yeah. So forward becomes backward, and backward becomes forward as far as the car's concerned.
But why is that even a thing? Why would you need to reverse it?
Good question. It often boils down to, well, different companies doing things slightly differently back in the day, especially with signal pulse widths.
You mean like how long the electronic on pulse is? Measured in milliseconds.
Exactly. So maybe your transmitter sends, say, a 1 millisecond pulse for minimum throttle and 2 milliseconds for maximum.
Okay.
But the ESC, the electronic speed controller in the car, might be expecting the opposite.
Yeah.
Futaba, for example, historically sometimes did things the other way around.
Ah, so the reverse function is like a built-in translator, a compatibility layer.
Precisely. It just flips the signal interpretation so the transmitter and ESC are on the same page.
Makes sense. So finding this setting,
Yeah.
how does that usually work?
Depends on the transmitter. Simpler ones might have an actual physical switch. Look for labels like Revy, Servo, Reverse, maybe next to the channel number like CH2.
And on the more advanced ones? With the LCD screens?
Then you're usually diving into a menu, often under something like Servo Setup or Reverse. You just navigate to the throttle channel again, usually CH2, and toggle it from N or normal to R or Reverse.
It's worth noting, though, some really basic, like ready-to-run transmitters might actually lack this feature entirely.
That's a good point. Always check your manual if you can't find it. Okay, so the steps to try it.
Right, the actual process.
First, power off the car. Always. Safety first.
Definitely. Wheels off the ground is a good idea, too, when you test.
Good call. Then, turn on your transmitter. Find that throttle reverse setting. Check CH2, maybe CH3 if it's Futaba. Flip it from normal to reverse, or vice versa if it was already reversed.
Then power the car back on.
Yep, power the car back on, wheels still up, and gently test the throttle. Pull the trigger slightly. Does it spin forward? Push, does it brake or go reverse?
And this can vary a bit between brands, right? The access method.
Oh, absolutely. Traxxas, for instance, often uses a button press sequence on the transmitter, sometimes involving the set button. And here's a key thing with Traxxas. If you reverse the throttle, you almost always need to recalibrate the ESC immediately afterward.
Ah, okay. What about, say, Spectrum?
Spectrum transmitters with screens, usually in the Servo setup menu, pretty straightforward. Some of their simpler ones might use a button hold sequence when powering on. You'd need to check the manual.
And Futaba, we mentioned, often channel 3 in their menu system.
Right. And remember those basic transmitters, like maybe the one with an Arma Grom or similar entry-level car? Some of those, like the Arma SLT2, just don't have the reverse function. You're kind of stuck there if that's the issue.
Okay, so let's say you flip the reverse switch. The direction is correct now, forward is forward, but the throttle feels weird. Maybe it's not smooth or the brake is off. What's the likely next step?
Bingo. That is the classic sign that your ESC needs recalibration.
Right. The ESC is the brain controlling the power to the motor.
Exactly. Flipping the reverse changes the signal values the ESC sees for neutral, full forward, and full brake reverse. It needs to relearn what those new points are from your specific transmitter with the reversed setting.
So calibration isn't about reversing direction itself, but about teaching the ESC the transmitter's new throttle range.
Precisely. It's crucial after changing transmitter settings like reverse. Solves a lot of weird throttle response issues.
Okay, so transmitter reverse first. If that fixes direction but causes other issues or doesn't fix direction, then ESC calibration.
Yep. That's the usual flaw.
And if that still doesn't sort it out,
Then you start looking at the motor wiring itself, especially if you've recently changed the motor or ESC.
how does that work?
For a simple brush motor, the ones with just two wires, you literally just swap the two wires going from the ESC to the motor. That reverses its direction.
Okay, simple enough. And for brushless motors, the ones with 3 wires.
A bit different, but still easy. Just swap any two of the 3 wires between the ESC and the motor. Doesn't matter which two. That'll reverse the brushless motor's direction.
Good to know. Is there anything else, maybe more advanced options?
Well, sometimes, yes. Some more sophisticated ESCs can actually be programmed via a computer or a program card. And in that software, there might be an option to electronically reverse the motor direction within the ESC itself.
Ah, so you wouldn't need to swap wires.
Correct. But that's less common, and you definitely need to dig into your specific ESC's manual to see if that's even possible and how to do it. It's usually further down the troubleshooting list.
So the overall plan of attack is pretty clear then. Check the transmitter reverse function first. If needed, recalibrate the ESC. Still no good. Check the motor wiring, and only then maybe look into advanced ESC programming.
That's the logical sequence. Start simple. It really highlights how these different parts, transmitter, receiver, ESC, motor, all have to work together, even if they're from different manufacturers.
Little electronic conversations happening constantly.
Exactly. So here's something to think about for you listening. Think about how many systems in our lives, not just RC cars, involve different components needing to communicate correctly, and how often a seemingly simple issue might actually have a few different potential causes, needing that kind of step-by-step check.
Yeah. From simple gadgets to much bigger things. Interesting thought.
Definitely something to ponder. All right, that wraps up this deep dive. Until next time.